Hello everyone and welcome to EduTap. In this video, we are going to discuss 10 important MCQs which can be seen in the upcoming ESIC Deputy Director examination, and these questions are related to the subject of freedom movement and Indian Union, that is particularly the Indian modern history. So this video is the 16th such video where we are discussing important MCQs on this particular subject, and if you have not seen the earlier 15 videos, you must go through these videos and you must click on the link given in the description box below where you can reach the playlist of this particular session. And we have discussed more than 150 questions in these 15 videos, so it will be very beneficial for you to revise all these questions before going ahead into the examination. In addition to this, I would request you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also join our Telegram channel where you can download the PDFs of all YouTube sessions absolutely free of cost. Right, so now let us start ahead with the session today. The first question that we are going to discuss is in front of you right now. This question is about Songs from Prison, which is a very famous, you can say, literary work being coming out in the first half century of the 20th century. Which among the following is associated with Songs from Prison, a translation of ancient Indian religious lyrics in English? Basically, this work is the English translation of various, religious songs, the bhajans and kirtans, especially from the northern and western parts of country. And all these songs have been translated into English, and these English works have been collected into this book known as Songs from Prison. So, who is the person who is associated with these songs from prison? Option A, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Option B, Jawaharlal Nehru. Option C, M.K. Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And option D, Sarojini Naidu. Now, you must, analyze that this Songs from Prison, this work must have been done by someone who has been in prison for a very long time, right? And also a person who was very well versed in both English and Hindi languages in order to translate these songs into the English language. Basically, this particular work was done by Mahatma Gandhi, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. You must have heard some famous songs like Harijan Ko Tete Kahiye and Raghupati Raghav Rajaram. All these different bhajans and kirtans, they were translated into English by Mahatma Gandhi during his stay in prison, and therefore this Songs from Prison is associated with Mahatma Gandhi. Right. So next up, let's talk about question number two. Question number two is about eminent Tamil poet C. Subramanya Bharati, and he was associated with which of the following movements or wings of the Indian National Congress? So C. Subramanya Bharati is a very famous, personality from the southern parts of the country, and he is also known as the Mahabharati Kavi, right? Because he was a very adept poet in the Tamil language, but he also knew various other languages like Sanskrit and North Indian languages too. And he was vociferously in support of the Indian freedom struggle and also was associated with the Indian National Congress. But which movement or which wing of the Indian National Congress was he adhering to? Option A, extremist movement. Option B, non-cooperation movement. Option C, civil disobedience. And option D, quit India movement. Now, C. Subramanya Bharati, if you know the timeline when he lived, you can easily figure out which of these particular options would be the correct answer. Now, you must see that non-cooperation movement, it happened in around 1920s. Early parts of the 1920s has started, right? Civil disobedience movement is started in 1930, and in 1942 the quit India movement started. So any personality who was very active during this particular time must also be associated with the movements in 1920 and 1942. If that personality did not have a very short life, unfortunately, then he would have been associated with all these movements. But this extremist movement, what is extremist movement? The part of the Congress which was not in favor of the constitutional framework for gaining a dominant status or gaining autonomy or gaining independence. We know about extremists and moderates, and there was one faction of the Indian National Congress which was very moderate, which wanted to appeal to Britishers and their consciousness in order to gain some favors from them, while the extremists which demanded hard action, which demanded strikes should be there, boycott should be there, etc. So this extremist movement is the correct answer for this particular question, because extremist movement, it was very active during the initial days of the Congress, especially from 1900s till 1916. If we talk about the extremists, they were very much powerful in the Congress era, and that is the correct answer of this question also, because Subramanya Bharati, he lived from 1882 till 1921, and he was a very famous Tamil poet, journalist, Indian independence activist, social reformer, and polyglot. Polyglot means he was adept in more than one languages, and especially was adept in more than four languages, four Indian languages and one English language. Then he is also known as Mahakavi Bharati, great poet Bharati, and he is the pioneer of modern Tamil poetry, right? And he is associated with the extremist movement, especially during the Bengal partition movement, the Swadeshi movements. He was very active in the Indian freedom struggle. Okay. Next up is question number 3. During the Indian freedom struggle, a parallel movement was launched in Indian princely states like Kashmir, Hyderabad, etc. was popularly known as what? During the Indian freedom struggle, we know that there were various areas in our country which were not directly under the British government, but were being ruled by a native ruler or a prince. Which were these areas? More than 500 such areas, such principalities were existing in India back then. We had Kashmir, we had Hyderabad, we had Junagadh, we had Bhopal, we had Gwalior, we had various confederacies in the Rajasthan, the Rajputana, right? So there was a particular movement which started in all these princely states, and it demanded more autonomy, and it even demanded independence from both the princely ruler as well as from the Britisher. They wanted democracy in their own states. So this particular parallel movement was known as what? Option A, State People's Movement. Option B, Prajamandal Movement. Option C, Rajya Swadhinta Andolan. And option D, One India Movement. This particular movement, not in a few states, but approximately in all the Indian princely states, was option B, Praja Mandal movement. So Praja Mandal movement, it got very active during the 1930s to 1940s till independence. Even after independence, when the decision for independence was taken, after that also, because there was no clear future of all these native princely rulers, it was not yet decided these rulers will go to Pakistan or will go to India or will remain autonomous. So this Prajamandal movement, it got very active during the later parts of the freedom struggle also, because they wanted all their native rulers to abdicate their throne, to give up their throne, and bring a democracy and merge their princely state with India, right? Correct answer for this is Prajamandal movement. Next up is question number 4. As per the Indian Independence Act, boundaries of East Bengal, West Bengal, and Assam would be determined by. The Indian Independence Act was passed in the British Parliament, and this act actually, from the British side, gave the partition of India as well as the independence of India the legal backing. And in this particular act, it was decided that India will be partitioned into two different states. The eastern part that will be divided, that is the Bengal province, which will be divided into an East Bengal, which is the current West Bengal from our country, right? East Bengal, which is currently the Bangladesh region, the West Bengal, which is our state, and Assam, the northern parts of the Bengal region. The boundaries of these particular areas will be determined by what? Indian National Congress or Muslim League, or award of a boundary commission, or governments in the provinces being divided. The correct answer for this is obviously awards of a boundary commission. The Indian Independence Act said that boundaries of East India, West Bengal, and Assam would be determined by the award of a boundary commission, just like in the western side, the Pakistan and the Punjab, they were being separated, and a particular commission was laid down to determine the boundary between the two areas. Similarly, between India and China in the northeastern region as well as in the Himalayan, western Himalayan region, we know that a boundary commission was set up. So whenever a division or partition was being done, a boundary commission was set up with a few people being appointed or selected by the British Crown, and these people, they would decide the boundaries of that particular area, right? Next up is question number 5. Arrange the following historical events in chronological order from first to last. So three events are given to us: Champaran Satyagrah, Partition of Bengal, and Jallianwala Bagh Massacre. These three events are quite famous, and it is no excuse that if you don't know the years in which these events took place, now this is on you. Because if we are preparing for this kind of examination, we must be very clear about these very important landmarks, especially from 1902 till 1947. This is not a very long time period, right? So in these 45 years, any important event that has taken place in the Indian freedom struggle, you must remember the approximate timeline of that event. For example, Champaran Satyagrah, It was one of the first such satyagrahas undertaken in India by Mahatma Gandhi. So then that becomes important. Partition of Bengal is very important because the nationalism fervor which aroused in the Indian masses, it especially started from the partition of Bengal. And Jallianwala Bagh massacre, we all know, it's such a tragedy that we still remember the this particular incident. What was the timeline? So Jallianwala Bagh massacre, it very famously happened in 1919. Be very careful about that. April 13 of 1919. Next, partition of Bengal. Partition of Bengal was executed in 1905. It was decided way back in 1903, but was executed in 1905. Champaran Satyagraha. Now, when did this happen? Champaran Satyagraha was happening in 1917 when Mahatma Gandhi came first to India in 1915-16, and after a few months of roaming throughout India, he started with the Champaran Satyagraha. So, what should be the correct chronological order? First of all, partition of Bengal happened, then Champaran happened, then Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened. So, correct answer should be 2, then 1, then 3. Right? So, 2, 1, and 3. The correct answer is option number D. Okay. Next up is question number 6. Apart from Quit India movement, which started on 9th of August of 1942, which other sensational activity of the freedom fighters was done on 9th of August? So here we are only talking about the date and not the year. In 1942, the 9th August was the day when the Quit India movement was officially started or declared by the Indian National Congress. But 9th of August is also a very important day in some other year when either beginning of Salt Satyagraha happened, or boycott of Simon Commission happened, Champaran Satyagraha happened, or Kakori train robbery happened. Now, again, this kind of question requires some analytical skills. For example, beginning of Salt Satyagraha, we can be very sure that this will be an exact date. Right? But if we talk about Simon Commission boycott, the boycott of Simon Commission, it was not only a single day, it happened throughout a period of time. Right? So boycott of Simon Commission is should not be, or probably should not be, the correct answer for this particular question. Then comes Champaran Satyagraha. Yes, the beginning of some Champaran Satyagraha, it might be a exact date, right? But none of these incidents, either the boycott of commission or beginning of Salt Satyagraha or Champaran Satyagraha, these three events did not happen on 9th of August. The Kakori train robbery, a very famous train robbery carried out by the members of the Indian Republican Association, Hindustan Republican Association, was executed on 9th of August of 1925. This Kakori mail train robbery, it happened near the town of Kakori, which is located around Lucknow, the modern capital of Uttar Pradesh. And this Kakori train robbery was very famous throughout the India, and it was lauded by the Indian masses also, and was a very daring work being done by the Hindustan Republican members. Next up is question number 7. During the independence movement, the Kesari newspaper was published by. The newspaper Kesari was published by whom? Subhash Chandra Bose, or Bal Gangadhar Tilak, or Muhammad Ali Jinnah, or Lala Lajpat Rai? The correct answer for this is option B, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. And you must also remember that Bal Gangadhar Tilak is also known as Kesari. Right? Kesari basically means the topmost individual or topmost authority, and he was also known as Kesari Gangadhar Tilak or Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and it was kind of a nickname given to him. And he was this nickname was also given because of this particular newspaper or publication that he was taking out, and he published very nationalistic articles. He published criticisms or critiques of the British government and their policies and their administration, and he also wrote about the Indian civilization and the culture, the rich culture, the customs that we have in our country, and how these customs and culture can be used to unite entire India, how it can be brought into the folds of Indian nationalism and mobilized against the Britishers. Next up is the question number 8. Question number 8 is about, so this is some information about Kesari, and this information is obviously available in the PDF that I will be providing to you. Next up is question number 8. The Bijolia movement is related to agrarian struggle in which of the Indian modern states? So a Bijolia movement was a very important movement. It was kind of an peasant struggle movement, or you can say agricultural movement in the modern state of either Kerala, Assam, Odisha, or Rajasthan. The correct answer for this question is option D, Rajasthan. But you have to remember, if these kinds of questions are present in your examination, you need very exact information about this. Very specific information is required, and you might also call it very trivial information that is required, and there is no logic, there is no analysis that you can do for these kinds of questions. So again, I would recommend that if you come across these kinds of questions which are out of the box, or you do not have any clue about these, Please do not try to guess the answer of that question. It might work 1 out of 4 times, but still, believe me, many a times you will be regretting these extra attempts because you will be coming back home with some negative marking. The correct answer is obviously option D, Rajasthan, and it is an agrarian movement in the Mewar state of the Udaipur district. There was a local Jagirdar, a Rajput ruler, who was given the Jagir of about 90 different villages of that particular area. But in 1905, the farmers of those villages, they revolted, and they said that they will not be giving any tax on the produce that they had. And the initial leadership was provided by Sita Ram Das, next Vijay Bijoy Singh Patnaik, Pathik, and Manik Lal Verma, who in future went on to become the CM of Rajasthan. They led a no tax movement in 1916, and it was called Bijolia movement, right? And the movement, it continued through 1920s, and it merged with the non-cooperation movement also. Okay, so this is a very important movement in the Rajasthan state or the Rajputana region of the British India. Next up is question number 9. In which year Vijay Lakshmi Pandit became the first women president of the UNGA? This is a very famous achievement that has been, garnered by an Indian woman, obviously, and Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, she was the first woman president of UN General Assembly. Right? In which year did it happen? 1949 or 51 or 53 or 59? So the correct answer here is option number D, in 1953. Option number C, the 1953 was the year when UNGA's assembly was presided over by Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. She was also the first Indian. First Indian means after independence, the first Indian, and also the first woman to be the president of UNGA. Right? Next up is question number. This is some information about her. She obviously was related to the first PM of our country, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Next question, the last question of the day, and this question is about the acts which were being brought by the government of India. Which among the following acts provided for a High Commissioner who resided in London representing India in Great Britain? Options are Government of India Act of 1858 or 1909 or 1919 or 1935. So correct answer for this question is option C, Government of India Act of 1919. It provided a High Commissioner. What did this High Commissioner do? There was already a Secretary of State for India. There was already members or officers in the British cabinet, in the British government, which were looking after the Indian interests. But the High Commissioner, he was given a very specific job for all the diplomatic relations that will be happening between the British India and the actual Great Britain. So there is any task of imports or exports, or if there is any issue about immigration, those issues will be handled by the High Commissioner, and he will be representing the Indian interests in Great Britain. Right. So the correct answer for this is option number C, Government of India Act of 1919. And with this, we have also reached the end of this session. If you have enjoyed this session, please do like this particular video, and if you have any queries about any of the courses being offered by EduTap or about strategy for the ESIC Deputy Director exam, please do not hesitate to contact on this particular number, or drop a mail to us at hello@edutap.co.in. Thank you and have a nice day. Keep on learning, keep on growing. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.